Okay, well, my name is Elizabeth Shidai. I'm from the Scholarships Office at the University of Westminster. I'm going to talk to you about scholarships in general, but most of my experience is about the University of Westminster, so excuse me if I talk too much about my university, but all this information will be useful for you, whatever university you want to apply to. So this is a nice picture of London. Obviously, you know that Great Britain is not only London, it includes the whole of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, but we are based in London, so here's a picture of London. Okay, the first thing I want to cover is what is a scholarship? In Brazil, I know a scholarship is often completely full, it pays for everything. Various institutions have different types of scholarship. It's not always 100%. So I think if you want to find out about scholarships, talk to all the institutions here today, talk to us also if you haven't done so already, and find out what we offer. It could be everything 100%, it could be just the fees, it could be half the fees. You know, there are various levels, so don't always assume that when we're talking about scholarship, we're talking about everything, because it's not necessarily the case. Also, it's important to say, if you need any advice on scholarships and you don't get that information here, talk to the British Council here in Rio or in São Paulo if you're there, whichever city you're in. The British Council can always orientate you on what scholarships are available to study in England. The UK, sorry. Now, you have to make sure that you're eligible to apply for the scholarship that you're applying for. Please bear in mind that some of the academic levels can be very high. They can be asking for a lot. So make sure that you're applying for something that you are eligible for. What does financial need mean? Financial need scholarships go to those students who are very gifted academically, but they wouldn't have the opportunity to study abroad without a scholarship. Some scholarships, like our scholarship at Westminster, they ask about development potential. What does development potential mean? It means what are you going to do here in Brazil when you come back after studying abroad? In particular, at Westminster, we're looking for students who want to come back to Brazil and want to do something in the area that they studied, use the knowledge that they've got in London to help the economy in Brazil, and that's what we want. We're not really looking for students who are going to stay in London and live. We want to find students who are coming back to Brazil and want to do something to help strengthen a country's economy. Tips for applying. I'm sorry that my presentation is a little bit basic, but graphics are not my speciality. Sorry. Now, it sounds so obvious, but it's so important. You have to read what they ask you. So, for example, make sure that your application reflects the requirements that they're asking for. So if they're asking, for example, the Westminster Scholarship, like I was talking about, if we're asking for what's your development potential and what are you going to do for your country, don't talk about I'm this, I did this, me. No, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who can say, I did this, I want to do this because I want to do this for my country. For example, the Chevening Scholarship, which at the moment is suspended, but we'll pretend it's not for this example. The Chevening Scholarship is looking for future leaders. So in your application, you should be showing your development potential. You should be showing, you should be showing your leadership qualities and giving examples of how you're a leader. So always read the information and answer the question they're asking you. It doesn't help at all to write 400 words on a completely different topic. It sounds obvious, but I speak to hundreds of students who just don't read. But they can read, but they just don't. Okay, another thing I want to say before I move on. It's important that you come to the university that offers a course that you want to do. Because if you choose the university just because of the scholarship, you need to have a contingency plan. You need to have a plan for what you will do if you don't get a scholarship. So the first thing first is to choose the course. You need to choose where you want to study. think about how England is. London can be very expensive, but it's also a cultural centre. For example, you might think, okay, well, maybe I'll go to Manchester or to Warwick or to some of the other places in the UK that are here today at the fair. But you have to think, okay, if I go, the further north I go, it gets colder. It's the opposite to Brazil. The further south you go in Brazil, it gets colder. In England, the UK, it's the opposite. If you go north, it can get very cold in the winter. But the benefits are that maybe the cost of living is cheaper in the north, and maybe you can have an experience where in London, I guarantee you will be surrounded by Brazilians. So if you want to be away from Brazilians, practice your English, maybe you want to try a different city. You need to think about all of these things before deciding where you're going to study. When you decide where you're going to study, then you can look at the scholarship options. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our scholarships programme. So the University of Westminster has the largest scholarships programme of any British university. We have around 750 international scholarship students at our university. Our motivation is really to give opportunities to academically outstanding students who wouldn't have the opportunity to come and study in London without us. I'm going to tell you a few facts about our university. I'm not going to read it all because you can read it. It's a little bit long, but our university was established in 1833 and it became the University of Westminster in 1992. I know a lot of people in Brazil are interested in the Queen. She is the patron of our university, so that's something to tell your families when you're deciding. But the Queen's the patron, let me go to Westminster. Okay, we're a very large institution with a very broad portfolio. Our university is very modern and has a focus on practical teaching. We really have a focus on getting people ready, getting students ready to go into the world of work afterwards. Obviously, another thing to mention, if you decide that maybe you don't want to do an undergraduate or a postgraduate in London, you just want to have an experience, we also have a study abroad programme. You can do it for 1 semester or 1 year. This is generally for undergraduate, but we've also introduced a graduate programme of 1 semester. I know you're going to ask me about the scholarship, so I'll tell you, for the undergraduate programme of 1 semester for the study abroad, we do have a scholarship available which covers the fees. And our office, the scholarships office and the international office will help orientate the student who receives this scholarship when they arrive in London. Also, another thing to mention, now I see it there, we have English language courses, and the EFL at the bottom is professional training courses for those who want to learn English as a foreign language. So we have all types of courses. You need to take the IELTS to go to the British University. We have a course that prepares you for the IELTS also. Here are some nice pictures of London. We've got some bridges, parks. I mean, London's a really fantastic place to be. Whichever university you may be at, you should experience London, and from anywhere in the UK. One of the best things, yes, the cost of living is high, but you have to think, well, the museums are free to go to. You can walk around. There are plenty of cultural experiences you can have, which you don't have to spend a lot of money doing. And we have lots of tips for students. I mean, for us as well, where we can find cheaper ways of doing things. So if you go out and eat an expensive meal and spend your whole day in the pub, of course it's too expensive for anyone. So you need to bear these things in mind. The real is so strong right now that really now is an excellent moment to think about studying abroad. So maybe you should really think about possibility of maybe applying for a scholarship which covers some of the fees, all of the fees, but maybe you don't have to go for a full-time scholarship.